Welcome, everyone, to That Kind of Nerds podcast, a show that tells you what is going on in the nerdy world. I am CJ Mellon, joined by Brian Thornton.
Hello, I am here.
Are you just here so you don't get fined?
To talk about things. I'm here because I'm contractually obligated.
Okay, just here so you don't get fined. Unfortunately, Josh cannot be with us this week. We wish him well, and we will see him later. We've got a lot to talk about this week, Brian. And because of that, this show has kind of gotten back to its normal pace. I have segments.
Segments?
There are segments.
No.
We have intros back to things. Like things are structured. This isn't just going to be a stream of consciousness kind of thing.
This makes no sense to me. I was getting used to the stream of consciousness.
Well, we're back into it. And what we're going to do, we're going to start with the world of TV and movies in a segment that we call Screen to Stream.
Let's screen and stream it.
Let's start off with a story that happened while we were away, while you were sleeping, Brian.
While we were out, when I went to go get smokes or something?
Exactly. That they have announced a animated Super Mario Brothers movie.
Okay, let's be clear. They announced this forever ago. You just didn't know about it.
Well, now we have casting, right?
They announced the casting. Yes, that did happen.
And now we have casting, which the leads are, and this is the part that just boggles my brain. We have Chris Pratt as Mario, Charlie Day as Luigi, Anna Taylor-Joy as Princess Peach, and Jack Black as Bowser. And that's just the tip. That's not the whole list. Like,
yeah, no, you got Keegan-Michael Key as Toad. You've got Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong. Who else am I missing?
Fred
here?
Armisen as Cranky Kong.
Fred Armisen as Cranky Kong. You've got I'm trying to remember his name. I'm doing this from memory, so forgive me.
Sebastian something Maniscalco.
Yes, that's who I was looking for. Sebastian Maniscalco, Sebastian Maniscalco is the voice of Mario in the games, in case you didn't know.
Oh, okay, and he's going to be Spike.
If I recall correctly. Okay, no, I'm getting the wrong name then.
Okay, good.
I'm sorry, Charles Martinet. Charles Martinet is the voice of Mario in the games. The person they listed as additional voices.
Right.
He's usually the voice of Mario.
So this is weird. I don't know how I feel about this. Because all I can imagine is Charlie Day, right? Like, hey guys, how are you? I'm Luigi. Like, it's just a weird, Jack Black as Bowser. I get the energy, right? I get the vibe. But like, what is this? Is this like the Lego movie thing? Is this super for serious? Is this all tongue in cheek? Is this like, I don't know what this movie's going to be. And this cast, I just have more questions than I've ever had before about a Mario animated movie.
So I don't know how you make a Mario movie without being tongue in cheek. You can't make. Okay, we've seen what happens when you make a serious Super Mario Brothers movie. Let's be honest. So I think this is they're having fun with it. This is going to be a comedy. I 1000% believe they're going to have a little tongue-in-cheek humor in it. I am very much looking forward to my Donkey Kong being like, oh, Seth Rogen, like I can't wait to hear that. Like, I think this cast, listen, they're actors. They're there to act. Like, I'm not like under any freaking illusions that like, we're not going to have a little fun with this. The only thing that scratches my head, first and foremost, Charlie Day as Luigi is perfect, in my opinion. I am HO, because Luigi to me,
okay,
as the younger brother. So Luigi as a character is always been a little uppity. He's always been a scaredy cat. He's got an entire series of games where all he does is kind of like scream and yell and runs from ghosts, right? Like that seems like Charlie Day. It seems like the brother who is overcompensating. Because his older brother gets all of the credit.
Wow.
So he needs to be uppity and on edge and yelling all that makes sense to me. The only question mark.
Yes.
The only question mark for me is Chris Pratt as Mario. I don't know how that's going. And I'm not saying I hate it. I love Chris Pratt. I think he's a fine actor, right? It's the only one that made me scratch my head. I was like, And Jack Black as Bowser? Come on.
I love
That's gonna be fun.
Listen, I love Jack Black. I love Keegan-Michael Key. I can't speak. I love Seth Rogen. In this project, I'm just confused. And I don't know if this is going to be Lego movie like, oh my God, this was supposed to be weird, but now it's great. Or if this is just going to be like, I don't know. They tried, I guess. Way to go, us.
No, this is going to be weird but great. Listen, you've got the studio behind Despicable Me.
Right, but they're also the studio behind Minions. So I mean, like...
So? Okay, listen.
They're also the Secret Life of Pets, right?
Okay, you and I as 30-year-old men, we can pick apart Minions all we want. But that is a cash cow. It is... Kids love the Minions, right?
Yes.
Despicable Me is to in my summation a great series of films with a lot of heart and a lot of potential to do further iterations. You and I have talked about Secret Life of Pets. We've actually talked about it on the show and my huge problems with it, and that is what it is. But every studio gets a whiff,
Right.
Every studio, it's not 100%, and you can't deny that Secret Life of Pets is extremely a successful franchise to the point where they have a ride in Universal Studios Hollywood.
Correct. Yeah.
For that film. So like you got a studio that understands the tongue-in-cheek humor. It's all over Despicable Me. The borderline, hey, we're making this for kids, but adults can enjoy it too. Right?
Yeah.
They're a little wacky. They're a little out there. I mean, that's what we need from Mario, because you are getting the 30-somethings who grew up with Mario. I need some adult humor. I'm going to need some tongue-in-cheek. I'm going to need a little meta humor, right? Yeah. And then you get the kids. Ironically, probably us bringing our kids into this film. I don't have kids. Yeah. But, they didn't, yes, they're probably playing Mario, but they don't have the same connection to it as we do. So they need, you need the fun kiddie humor as well. Like, I think this casting's fine. I'm excited for this movie. Because listen,
I
Mario,
have a ticket.
The games are fucking off the wall and crazy.
Yes.
Because Mario is sitting there, Bowser's sitting there kidnapping Peach and going to the moon to have a wedding in Super Mario Odyssey. Yes. That's real.
Yep.
But then in the next game, Mario's like, hey, you want to go karting? Let's go have a party. Like, come on, like this is not a serious game.
You should also see the Mario with the raving rabbits, right? That's another one.
Yeah,
what the hell is this?
Hey, which we get a sequel to that coming out. I enjoyed that game as well.
So the directors for this movie are previously collaborated on Teen Titans Go and the movie Teen Titans Go to the Movies. So like, cool. If that's an indication as to what you're gonna get, it's that, right? Where it's like, this isn't canon. This is just gonna be a weird, wacky thing. Roll with it. Let's go. It's just odd. It's just like, if you told me you're going to cast a Mario movie and you're like, Chris Pratt as Mario, I'd be like, okay, yeah, but who's really playing Mario? Like, this is all stuff where like this would be on a cast this, and this would be like me bringing it up, and we all be like, that's a dumb list. Shut up.
Honestly, like, listen, if you were to tell me, hey, cast this or build a better cast, I don't know if I could. Like, I don't. This is a tricky franchise, and like all the haters out there who are like, oh well, Charles Martinet, like, why isn't he just voicing Mario? You can't make a giant budget movie and do the most stereotypical, horribly borderline racist, it's on me, Mario, like for an entire 2.5 hour movie. You can't do that. That's a good way to piss off a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
So like, it comes out December 21st, so I'm definitely, I'm there. I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what Chris Pratt does. If he does more of like Lego movie humor,
right?
Okay. I mean, I'm not so sure. It's going to sound weird. And let's face it, it's going to take 15 minutes for me to be like, oh, okay, this is the voice of Mario for the next 2 hours, But the rest of the cast is spot on. I listen, Anna Taylor-Joy, like, I'll cast her as freaking live action Princess Peach, for crying out loud.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I'm saying. If you were doing some weird live action thing, I would believe some of these characters. I'd be okay with it. The animation part is the part where like it's like, oh, I got the analogy. Have you ever listened to somebody on the radio for years and years, and then you finally see their face and you're like, oh, that is not what I expected. That's what this is.
I've had that happen to me.
Right, yeah. Right. Like, I met a DJ that I listened to on the radio when I was a teenager all the way up to adulthood, and I finally met them in person. I'm like, oh, that's Okay, I did not expect you to look like this. Okay, sounds good to me.
I mean, it's going to be an adjustment period. But let's move on, because I'm tired of sitting here trying to justify why the cast is the way the cast is.
I've got 4 trailers that we're going to talk about. So if you haven't watched them, go into the show notes right now, listener, and give them a watch. The first one we're going to start with is Finch, which is an Apple TV Plus movie starring none other than Tom Hanks, which apparently is this is his second Apple TV Plus movie. So this looks really interesting. A man basically going across the world trying to get humanity's last hope out there, and he does it with a robot that he had programmed. And it reminds me a little bit of Chappie.
This reminds me of The Martian meets Chappie.
The Martian meets, but there's a dog. Right.
Okay, so The Martian meets Chappie meets I Am Legend.
Okay, all right.
And here's the thing.
Because you're right, there's also...
I hate this movie already.
Really?
And no. I hate it. I'm going to watch it.
Right.
I hate it because I know either the robot or the dog are going to die, or both. You can't tell me that that's not going to happen. And I'm going to be pissed when it does.
I read a different thing in my brain. When I
think Tom Hanks is going to die?
Tom Hanks is going to die, and the robot
one of these characters is going to die.
Correct.
And I am not going to be happy when it happens.
Like, maybe like Pixar tears.
I'm
are going to
be pissed.
Right. Okay.
It's gonna fuck with me, and it's gonna I don't like it. I don't like it already. I don't want it.
You're already so invested in these characters.
But like just by the trailer, already robot's so nice. Oh, you learned to speak dog. That's so cute. Fuck, he's gonna die, isn't he? Like the entire time I'm watching this trailer, I'm like, this is going to make me sad. And I don't want to feel sad.
The last 10 minutes of this movie is going to be the first 10 minutes of Up. You can just feel that's coming down the road.
It's the Marley and Me.
I was going to say, it's either going to be Marley and Me, or it's going to be the Martian, or it's going to be
or
the Iron Giant.
Legend, right?
One of those 3 endings is happening. Iron Giant, the Martian, or Marley and Me.
Right, I'm either getting the ending to I Am Legend, or I'm getting the ending to the Iron Giant in your summation, right? I'm getting the holding of the dog while shit goes crazy around me,
right?
Moment, or I'm already upset. I can't I don't want to watch this film, but I do want to watch this film because Tom Hanks is amazing and everything.
This reminds me of a movie, and I don't remember the name, and I didn't watch it. It was on Netflix and had George Clooney. It was the same premise of I hear a radio signal.
Oh yeah. That was that
I
Netflix
will get
thing.
there.
We talked about that,
right? But no one watched it. But this one, we're all like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
No one watched it because Netflix.
Right.
I love Netflix.
But we've talked about this. But this is Apple TV Plus. Do people know how to find Apple TV Plus?
I mean, listen, unless it's Friday and the new episode of Ted Lasso came out, which we need to talk about, whether it's on the air or off the air, I don't care.
It's a great show.
Then I don't know. Apple TV Plus is not the go-to yet, right?
Right.
And I think part of it is because of a lack of content, but the content that they put out is good, really good.
Right.
So here's the thing, and this goes right into my argument about which is, I haven't watched it, so I can't really say. But this goes right into my argument about why I hate Netflix, right?
Right. Exactly.
Netflix is great. But shit like that George Clooney movie falls under the radar because it's highlighted for a day and then boom, there's 30 other things, right? The big thing right now is Squid Game. I haven't watched it yet, and I guarantee you if I wait 2 more days, it'll be completely forgotten, right? And then there's Apple TV Plus, which doesn't have a swath, a huge amount of content, but everything I have actually ventured into and I've watched on there is really good.
Right.
It's a lot of quality. So people don't think of Apple TV Plus yet because they don't have 80 billion titles on there. But at the same time, if I'm looking for something in particular on Netflix, I can't freaking find it.
Right.
So there's got to be a happy medium, and I think that happy medium is HBO Max. HBO Max curates their it's so much better.
HBO Max is here's what you should watch, here's what you are watching right now, and also here's the big thing, but we're not going to let it get lost. And
what I really do like about HBO Max is that they curate and they put these lists together, right? So
right.
If I'm looking for something so they have these hubs, And I was home the other night. I was like, I want to watch something that my wife has no interest in watching. You know what's always a good bet? DC stuff. So I went on the HBO. I put the DC hub. Boom. There's all the stuff I could possibly imagine. And now I can find something pretty easily. Right. I watched the Long Halloween, which if you haven't watched that, awesome. The animated 2-part feature of Long Halloween was fantastic. And like, I just like the way HBO curates their stuff that way. Like, if you log in now, they're like, hey, you want to watch a spooky movie? Here you go.
Right,
boom,
yeah.
Click on it. Here's all the spooky shit. And then they categorize it into here's the slashers. Here's just thrillers. Here's for kids, right? And so, like, Netflix doesn't do that. And what pisses me off about Netflix is that the fucking categories change every single time I lose. Like, even the placement, like, normally, if I click one, if I click one down,
a rant against it.
I'm going on a rant. I'm sorry. We'll get back to Finch in a moment. If I go one down, here's my for you. Okay, right. Here's the shit that they recommend to me. And then if I go one down, it's continue watching. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I started watching New Girl. Let me keep watching that. And then like the next time, the continue watching is like 5 fucking things down because then I need to go through the trending. And it changes every time. Like, what the hell, Netflix? It's so infuriating that I can't find shit to watch in the swath of entertainment. Going back to Finch, I loaded up Apple TV last night, right. And Apple TV, like it's this happy medium as far as how it's curated, but I feel like it's so far up its rear end is trying to get you to watch the next thing before I've even finished watching the first thing.
Right.
Case in point, I went on to watch Ted Lasso last night, and boom, there's a trailer for Acapulco, and they're like, after you're done watching the season finale of Ted Lasso, go ahead and watch Acapulco. I'm like, why don't you calm down there, Apple TV?
Right.
I haven't even watched Ted Lasso yet, right? Like, you can advertise that shit after I'm done watching Ted Lasso. Like, put it in your, like, here, we're going to automatically start playing Acapulco next. If you like Ted Lasso, here's that. I doubt it's any good, as good as Ted Lasso, at least. But the same thing is, I'm going through, I'm like, you know what? I'm going to find something that's not Ted Lasso to watch on Apple TV. And I was just scrolling through the stuff. And like, there's 3 things, one of them being Finch. Hey, put this on your watch list now. It comes out, November 4th. And I'm like, okay, again, like I'm looking for something now. Like Apple TV, give me something that I can watch now. Not something I can watch 3 weeks from now.
They don't have a whole lot. That's why. And
that's the thing.
And there's a good joke, and I just put it into the show notes of Jon Stewart, who has a show launching on Apple TV Plus, and it was pretty good. Making reference to, can you even find it? You don't even know where this is. So that's their problem, right? Netflix is, hey, here's the thing. Oh my God, you should watch it. You wait. Are you waiting? Get the fuck out of here. You're not allowed to watch it anymore. And then Apple TV Plus is, hey, watch our stuff. You're like, cool. How do I get to you? Yeah. So do you have a map? Right? And then you can get into it. So I am excited for Finch. I think it will be great. Apple TV
and that's the other thing.
Oh, God.
Apple TV Plus. Oh, hang on. Apple TV Plus, because your Apple TV Plus account can link to all your other accounts, it's also feeding me shit from Hulu and HBO Max and shit like that. And that's the thing. Like, dude, just give me your content.
Let's talk. We'll fight about Apple TV later. Let's talk about a trailer, though, that I am excited about, but also disappointed in. I have very mixed emotions for House of the Dragon, the HBO Max series, which is the prequel 200 years in the past of Game of Thrones about House Targaryen, starring Matt Smith, which we know would get Josh to dance out of his bed like Grandpa Joe and Charlie in the Chocolate Factory.
But Grandpa Joe was a freaking freeloader.
I am so
You can't tell me he couldn't get out of that bed.
I am so mixed about this because it looks really good, but I hate how I was treated at the finale of Game of Thrones, and I can't separate that.
It's not even that for me. I'll tell you what it is for me. And like, honestly,
it's the what
like,
for you.
It's
the what for you.
It's the teaser trailer. Like, I can't even say it looks really good. All I saw was fire, throne, Matt Smith with white hair. Right. That's all I saw. So like, was it enough to like, give me a full trailer? Like, I'll be interested when you give me a full trailer. The thing about it for me is I was in Game of Thrones. I was not invested in Westeros. I was invested in Daenerys. I was invested in Cersei. Right. Jaime Lannister.
Characters.
Those characters.
Yes.
I don't give a fuck about the characters from 200 years ago. But like, and that's the thing. And that's what is tearing me apart on this, is that it's unlike Lord of the Rings, where like I'm in love with that world. So you could pretty much, you could tell me a bunch of stories in Lord of the Rings, and I'll probably be invested in it. Game of Thrones hasn't earned that for me yet because it was very character heavy. It wasn't about the world of Westeros. It was about, hey, Cersei's a bitch. Let's go kill her. And like all the stuff in between. So without any of those characters, I'm not as invested in watching this show. Does that mean I won't watch it? No, I'll watch the first episode. But like, you have got to make me really care about these characters in that first episode for me to give you any more time.
So the series, again, is 200 years before the events of Game of Thrones. It's about the beginning of House Targaryen and all the events that lead up to the civil war there, known as the Dance of the Dragons. So it's got a lot of stuff. I think you're going to have a lot of intrigue. I think you're going to have a lot of, unfortunately, a little bit of the politics of like what starts a fucking civil war in Westeros.
Well, that's not unfortunate. That was the driving force behind Game of Thrones.
And this is my problem, right? Which is, and I honestly don't know who's running this. I don't know if it's the same guys who did Game of Thrones.
I don't think it's Benioff and Weiss.
I don't care because it's still in that same universe. So therefore, you get all the baggage that comes with it, which is I cared about characters. You gave me a great character development, and then you said, by the way, fuck that. That means nothing, right? It doesn't mean shit. We're not going to get back to it. There you go. Mystery solved. Get the fuck on. Like, could they do the same thing? This show is going to have to
debate the ending.
This show is going to have to earn my watch. I'm not going to watch this based on just, hey, it's out. Watch the first season or watch the first episode. It's, hey, Brian, watch 5 episodes and tell me if I should even give a shit about the show. Then I'll wait for it to probably end and then make sure that they don't screw me, and then I'll go watch it. So,
this
is the baggage they get. That's what I'm saying. I'm conflicted because it looks cool.
Yeah, and that's what they deserve, honestly, with how they handled. So the creators, the creators are Ryan J. Condal and George R. R. Martin. So obviously George R. R. Martin, he's probably helping write it, right? I'm assuming the showrunner is Ryan J. Condal here.
Yeah, I imagine George R. R. Martin gets credit for being creator, but is sitting there just going, yeah, you can do that. That'd be fine. Okay, I'm going to go back to not writing this book that I was supposed to write 3 years ago.
To be completely honest, like, okay, if you're a fan of the book, good fucking luck. He's so invested in, he's been writing these episodes. I don't know if you noticed, he's way past consultant.
We've been stuck in our house for almost 2 years. The guy can't finish a book that he said he would finish 3 years ago. Anyway, I'm ranting. I want to move on. I want to talk about the next trailer that we got, which is a Netflix trailer, right? And
so it's going back to my argument.
Yeah, it's going back.
The tantient was not a tangent
one
after
thing
all.
that Netflix will not let you down on, which is Stranger Things season 4.
They'll make sure I watch this.
And the first comment on this YouTube video is 100% accurate, which is me before the trailer. I know nothing about season 4. Me after watching this trailer. I know nothing about season 4.
I don't need to know anything about season 4.
Right, but this was such a twist. At first I thought I was watching the wrong trailer because they started like the I'm going to say 30s, maybe 40s if I'm being generous. And then flashing to the 80s with this crew. And I don't know if this is a handoff. I don't know if this is...
I want to say 50s. I want to say it's the 50s.
Maybe the 50s? Okay.
And
yeah, maybe you're right.
Here's the thing. When it comes to a show like this, you're 4 seasons in, you have the audience.
Right.
I don't need to give you jack about what the season's going to be about. I know you're going to watch it. All I need to tell you is that it's coming. Here's
my question. See, this show is predicated on the love for the 80s. These characters, we like these characters, we like these actors. We're watching them grow up, right? They're trying to film it real quick so they can stay kids, right? So they can keep this timeline at a...
they're not kids anymore. You can freaking...
I know, but they're trying to keep the timeline reasonable that like, hey, I know it's been like 5 years in between, but like, it's still the 80s. Here's my question.
It's only been like 3 years.
Season 4, it's been a little bit longer because of because of COVID and all this. I'm thinking hiatuses happen. Stranger Things season 4 is this growing the beard or jumping the shark at this point? Like, where is this? This is the season that makes or breaks this, right?
Well, I mean, this is the last season, so I don't think you have to worry about it jumping the shark. I think if it jumps the shark, it's fine because it's the last.
It's the last season anyway, so they get a pass.
So they can do whatever the hell they want. The Duffer Brothers, even like way before this, I remember reading an interview before COVID and all this shit,
right?
That they had a 5-season plan. Like, and Netflix is one of these companies. They're not like ABC, NBC. They're not going to be like, oh, well, you need to get 3 more seasons out of it. They're going to be like, all right, we're going to fund you for 5 seasons and then you're done.
So this isn't the last season then. This is season 4.
No, it is. It is because I think that this is where COVID comes into play. I think because of that, they're like, all right, listen, to your point, these kids aren't going to stay kids forever. Let's do what we were going to do and let's just wrap it up. Right. So I think, and they've gone on record saying that this is the last season, as far as I know. Now, unless things have changed since like 2 months ago when I read that article, this is supposed to be the last season.
That's fine.
So I don't know where you would get anything about them jumping the shark, right? Like I think just like we're making movies and shows now that are very nostalgic for the 80s and 90s, in the 80s they were doing this shit, but with the 40s and 50s.
Right, exactly.
So like I think there is going to be this kind of tie-in of nostalgia, right? And not even nostalgia, but like it's the haunted house motif.
Right, that's what they did in the 80s. They made movies and TV shows about the 50s houses being haunted. So this here we are.
A callback to that stuff, right?
We're continuing that 80s connection, yes.
Yeah, and I also think this is going to have to do with Hopper. I don't think Hopper...
That's right.
I think Hopper might have time traveled, and I think that's going to tie in with this somehow. So, yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's going to be great. The show itself is... The first 3 seasons have all been varying degrees of wonderful. But like, let's put this in perspective. Season 3 took place late 80s with the dawn of, mall life and all that stuff, right? It was 1985 that came out. This makes sense. I'm going to say this takes place in like 88, maybe 89. And yeah, that would make sense to me.
Yeah, okay.
But yeah, I mean, I don't need to know anything about it. Give me all of it.
All right, the next one.
I don't know how many episodes it is, but it's not enough.
The next one, this was dropped in by you. I will be very frank. I am not a fan of this franchise, but I am intrigued by this movie. It is Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City, which is a prequel.
No, it's not.
It's not a prequel?
No, shut your whore mouth. Let me.
Wow. All right.
Let me learn you something here.
Okay.
You say you're not a fan of this franchise. You're not a fan of the movie franchise, which is fine. The movies are varying degrees of okay to shite. All right.
Big fan of the video game franchise. I didn't have a PlayStation.
I hate you and everything you stand for.
I didn't play Resident Evil.
Shut your mouth.
All right.
Shut it.
For this segment, Brian will be ranting and raving about things he loves instead of things he hates. The floor is yours.
So this is one of my favorite game franchises. It's most certainly one of my favorite horror game franchises.
Yes.
This is so let's put it this way. The last Resident Evil movie franchise is like I said, varying degrees of okay to shite, and it's over. It's done. It had nothing to do with the games with the exception of the same name and being inspired by some of it, having some characters show up, but you followed a completely different character that had nothing to do with the games.
Right.
And it just went completely off the rails. You want to talk about jumping the shark? Way off the rails.
Yes.
This is, in movie language, this would be a reboot, and it's closer to the game storyline. So it's taking place in 1998, which is when the original game series takes place. Most certainly, this is taking Resident Evil 1 and 2 at least, and combining them into one movie. And I am so here for it. And it's going to be so great. And like, there's tons of imagery from the original 2 games. You have the character, the cast list, which I'm actually looking at right now. You have, Claire and Chris Redfield, Jill Valentine, Leon's in it. So this definitely looks like it's going to be the first 2 games combined, which is totally okay. I just hope that they're not trying to shove too much in, but I think the casting is perfect. Neil McDonough as William Birkin is fantastic, and the guy from Umbrella Academy.
I was going to say I recognize
Hopper.
I recognize the lead actress. I know her from Maze Runner. Robbie Amell is in there, which I yelled Robbie, and all I can think about is Firestorm and talking about dead fiancés. And then I remember the gentleman from the Umbrella Academy, whose name I don't know, and I'm sorry, he's a very good actor.
Tom Hopper. Tom Hopper is playing Albert Wesker.
Hopper, okay. All right, so Sheriff Dumpster Fire's cousin, who does a very good job.
You're funny.
Come on.
Dude, this is going to be great. This is the Resident Evil movie that I've always wanted, that we should have gotten. Because the fact of the matter is the game's story, whereas it can get bloated and drawn out sometimes because you're trying to get a 10 to 20 hour game out of it.
Right.
It's a good story.
So this is more of forget what you've seen from Resident Evil before. And really focus on the game.
And now we're doing this movie.
Focus on the game. We're going to do the game story.
Yeah, and as they should. And
instead
it's going to be great.
And bullshit and Blade wannabe Matrix ripoff.
I don't know anything about Lycans. I've seen the first 5 of those 6 movies.
I know that Lycans get mentioned in the Resident Evil movies at some point. Okay. So
in the movies, really?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. So definitely something to worth checking out. All right. Especially if you're a fan of the video games. Last thing.
I mean, it'll help, but I'm sure they'll
So if you're interested in seeing anything that we talked about today, Finch is going to be streaming on Apple TV Plus starting November 5th. House of Dragons and Stranger Things only have a 2022 release date. No official release date listed. Resident Evil is November 24th. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to turn our attention to the world of comics. See how it's affecting TV, see how it's affecting movies, but most of all, how is it affecting Brian? Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Cape Talk.
Cape Talk! Now, I have a question to ask you, CJ.
Oh, please, yes.
What if it never affected me?
No!
I know. Yeah.
Could you imagine? What if it affected...
What if you don't have a theme song for Cape Talk?
What would this world be? All right, we're obviously talking about Marvel's What If that officially wrapped its first season. I want to say, I hope there's more.
Correct.
On Disney Plus. This was really good. Like this was really good.
Okay, good, because we're gonna have a good conversation. Because I don't feel that way.
No, really?
I don't think it was crap, but I don't think it was really good.
Oh,
I think it was good.
All right. Well, let me start off with this. What was
so
there?
Please.
No.
No. I mean, I was going to give you the floor to tell me why it was really good. Maybe you can change my mind. I don't know if I was expecting more.
Yeah. All right. So here's what I liked about this series was I am not a comic book reader, right? So I've never read a What If comic before, and I know that they exist, right? I've seen Marvel Zombies has been on the stand. I've seen I've seen that these things do exist within the Marvel comic book universe. And it was cool to have that experience, which I know existed but never partaked in, presented it in a medium that I watch and that I like, right? So I got to see this stuff that's been going on for comic book years for decades. I mean, for decades, these one-offs have been coming out, right? What I liked was seeing them in a cool animation style, and then ultimately having some kind of culmination where they weren't just these separate stories, but something got connected in a way that it doesn't have to connect to the rest of the movies. It doesn't have to connect to everything that's going on in the MCU. It was just these cool little one-off things and seeing characters do different things. That was interesting to me, and it was nice to see that they can do that.
I am completely on board with you up until the culmination.
Okay.
I prefer my anthology series to be anthologies. I don't actually want them to connect in any way. And that's kind of what the last 2 episodes is kind of what put a little bit of a I'm not so sure I enjoyed all of this. So here's the thing. Leading up to the last 2 episodes, I highly enjoyed the show. And I'll list the things that I enjoyed about it real quick. The animation's gorgeous. Yep. I think the take is interesting. The format makes sense. The anthology. I love the idea of, hey, let's do these small, short, half-hour, 40-minute stories to varying degrees of success, right? Like, I think there was a couple duds in there. A couple of episodes that were like, this wasn't. But that's the What If model.
Right.
It's the What If comic book. The What If comic book was always great about, hey, wouldn't it be funny if this happened? Or wouldn't it be interesting? And then, you know what? If people really responded to it, then they would spin that out, right? And the perfect example is what if Peter and Mary Jane's daughter survived? In the 90s, really short backstory. In the 90s, Peter and MJ were about to have a baby. Spent months and months and months with MJ being pregnant. Time to get the baby. She gives birth. The baby, the nurse grabs the baby. Is like, something's not right. Disappears. Comes back. Says the baby's dead. So they lose the baby.
Right.
And then there's been a ton of speculation about whether or not Norman Osborn took her or what have you. But that's neither here nor there. The couple months later, the What If special comes out. Is what if They were going to name her May. It was what if May Parker survived?
Right.
And you had this entire like, oh, she's a teenager in high school. You have older Spider-Man being a parent. She gets spider powers just through happenstance. She decides she's going to be a hero. What does that relationship look like? Really great one-off. It got a lot of traction. In fact, it's worth a ton of money. I have it. I don't want to say a ton of money because the character's not around anymore, so it probably depreciated a lot. It spun off into its own comic book series where, hey, you guys like this? We're going to give you your own series. It takes place in a separate universe. And that ran for years. And that was the beauty of the what if model, right? Is like, if you really like something, we'll do more of it.
Yeah.
But for right now, we're just playing around.
Yes.
And that is the first initial episodes that I got. That's the feeling I got. It's like, oh, okay, cool. We're just going to play around. What if Captain Carter?
Right.
What if T'Challa was actually, a part of the Ravagers? I liked those episodes a lot. And then there was a couple duds. I wasn't a huge fan of the what if the Avengers were killed before they became the Avengers episode.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of what if Killmonger saved the Tony episode.
Same thing. I also It was good, but I did not want more of that.
They weren't bad. It's just that, okay, this was interesting to watch for a half hour. I never need to see this again.
Correct.
So to then at the end of the series, bring it all back around, bring all of these things back, and then like interconnect what I thought going into it were supposed to be separate vignettes, separate stories of a multiverse that I never have to revisit again if I don't want to. But if I want to, we can bring them back for more. Right. Like, there's nothing saying in season 2 we can't do another episode of Captain Carter.
Exactly.
But this time it's Winter Soldier stuff. That's what I wanted. But now you interconnected it. And you interconnected it not just all amongst itself, but you also interconnected it, whether you like it or not, to the MCU proper. And I don't know how to feel about that.
I think the last episode did give them an out that this isn't widely connected to everything happening in the MCU, with sending them back to the exact time and place. Right? It's the end game ending. We're going to send you right back where it is. You still have all the memories of it, but you're going right back.
You don't think with at least 2 multiversal movies coming out that this is going to come up again? I guarantee you.
I don't think so.
I guarantee you. I'm going to call it now.
All right, place your bets.
I'm at least gonna get a scene or a cameo of Haley Atwell as Captain Carter in Multiverse of Madness. I am putting money on it now. But I'm also putting money on you get Michael B. Jordan back as Killmonger. Like I'm telling you, this shit's gonna happen.
And I think I think the other part too, though, Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger, always ambiguous at the ending of Black Panther as to what really happened, right? So that door was always open in some way. There's a light coming out of that door. It's Schrodinger's cat, though. You don't know if it's alive or dead.
It's pretty. I don't feel it's ambiguous
they intimated
at all.
it.
I feel like he's dead.
They intimated, but Schrodinger's cat on.
I feel like he's dead because here's the thing that is the Marvel problem. Is that they kill their villains,
right? But at the same time, they didn't like. This is like the X-Men thing, all right? They left a door open, right? And X2 or X3 or whatever it is, where the professor comes back. They left the door open on Killmonger. Okay,
That's X3.
Okay, I don't think though. If you didn't watch What If, and they make a reference to Captain Carter, right, in a multiverse situation, that you're just like,
I don't think it's going to be.
I don't think it's going to be like
it's going to be required viewing.
Yeah, I don't think there's going to be that moment where it's like where like someone looks at the camera and it basically says, if you didn't watch What If, you're probably confused right now. And the Stan Lee bubble comes out at the bottom and says, you should probably watch What If. You know, I don't think
any of these shows are going to be required viewing.
Correct, but and that's the thing. I don't think this ties this directly into the MCU. That this is going to impact it. That because of What If, now something in Doctor Strange has to make sense because of that. I don't think that's the case.
Unless the theory that Strange Supreme is the Strange in Spider-Man No Way Home.
It's not going to be that. Right. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen.
There's a very good argument
You did bring up a point, though, again, with what if Killmonger rescued Tony Stark? What if the world lost its mightiest heroes? They weren't fantastic episodes, but I did enjoy them. I really liked seeing the whole storyline happening with Ant-Man and Scott Lang and everything going on different, and Hank Pym kind of becoming the Yellow Jacket and being a little bit deranged and having to fight in some of these stories is really cool. It's just nice to see.
It was interesting.
Yeah, like, whoa, that is a heck of a storyline. So I think there's things that are in there that work. I really liked the zombie episode. I just thought that was,
and that's what I'm saying.
Good.
In season 2, give me another zombie episode, right? Yeah. In season 2, give me another episode of, like Captain Carter, but this time it's mirroring Winter Soldier. And what if Steve, like, they teased that at the end.
I would say they teased at the end where Captain Carter went on the boat. And like, this is Winter Soldier happening right now.
Yeah,
right now,
but
this
it's
is Winter
Steve.
Soldier.
It's not Bucky. It's Steve now.
Right,
Steve's going to come back as some sort of big bad.
Right,
and like all of that stuff is cool, right? Like, keep going with the stuff that worked. Don't go with the stuff that didn't necessarily work.
I'm thinking very much in the sense of Black Mirror, right?
Yeah.
There's one episode called the Black Mirror Museum where it ties all these things that we all thought were separate somehow together. I
haven't seen that episode.
Okay, there's one. You're just
How have I not seen that episode?
You probably did not pay attention to it. There's a Black Mirror Museum episode. I think it's season 3. I don't remember. You have to look me up. Go check it out. But it's one of those things of Black Mirror. The beauty of Black Mirror is they're all separate anthology stories, right? You don't have to watch any of the other ones in order to get it. But there's just this one episode where it is, right? Where it is connected. And I don't think that means that the other ones have to be. I don't think it doesn't take away for anything. So I was happy to see this story. I like that it did all culminate together.
Season 4, episode 6. Why have I not watched this episode?
It's a really good episode, right?
I believe you. Why haven't I watched it?
But it is again.
This is going back to my argument about Netflix. I've watched every episode of Black Mirror. You're telling me a new season comes out and you don't freaking tell me this shit. Well, what is wrong with Netflix?
Season 4 was the one with the USS Callister. How did you watch that season?
I've seen Callister.
Okay, so Callister.
Why have I not seen this episode?
I don't know. And then there's another season after that with Anthony Mackie, right? He does an episode.
I've seen the season with Anthony Mackie. Yes, the very.
I think you blacked out. I think you blacked out season 4, which is fine. Black Mirror is not a show you want to hang on to in your brain. Okay, you want to watch it, let it go.
I do. Like there's shit from that show that like sticks with me.
But again, Brian. This is a show that is a good anthology, one-off stories, and then maybe has one where they get tied together, but then you move on. And that's what they're going to do with What If. I really liked what they did. I liked the voice actors, because even when you didn't get the original voice actors, as we noticed, Scarlett Johansson was conspicuously missing from this entire series.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
But the voice actor, Blake, oh God, what's her last name? Blake. Oh, I know her from like
I'm still looking at Black Mirror. See, I've seen him, the DJ.
Bell. I think it's Blake
There's
Bell.
Pieces of this season I have not seen.
Well, that's just you. That's not Netflix's fault. What's her name? Blake something. Blake Bell. Lake Bell. Okay, I totally like Lake Bell doing Black Widow. Good voice.
Lake Bell's fine. I wasn't a fan of who they got to replace.
I know, me neither. But I was like, the guy who did Spider-Man did a great job. So it was also nice to just like let somebody else take a shot at these characters. Or, hey, let's let the same voice actor do something different. Also, some of the tribute to the fact that this was Chadwick Boseman's last performance as T'Challa. Like, this had a lot of really cool stuff in it. I'm glad that they can do this. But again, I don't need RDJ to get in a booth to make these. Give me somebody else. Don't hold off production because RDJ is doing something or not doing something, or you couldn't get X, Y, or Z. Give me these really these really nice stories, and we'll have some fun. Heck, what is it? Russ Marquand? I always forget how to butcher his last name. Marquand. Marquand?
It sounds like Marquand, yeah.
Yeah, so Ross Marquand, you're giving me a puzzle look, Brian. He is the guy who did the voice of Red Skull in Infinity War.
Oh, okay,
He comes back as...
He's good.
He was Ultron, right? He was Ultron in this one. He did his James... He's a great impressionist, and he did James Spader. Because you're not going to get James Spader for this. So let someone like this come through. So there's a lot of really cool stuff in here. I want to see more. I'm okay if they never intertwine ever again. It was just a really cool story. And again, as a Marvel movie fan, this gave me the hint of, and this is what Marvel wants. Hey, this is what they do in the comics a lot. Maybe you want to pick up a book. Maybe you want to check some out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Again, like, I'm not saying I didn't like it. I'm just saying I was just I was a little thrown off by those last 2 episodes, and I was a little perturbed that like you got peanut butter in my chocolate, right? Like I wanted separate stories.
You wanted separate stories.
And that's on me. Like I wanted this to be superhero Twilight Zone.
Right.
You know, like you get a separate story, you have a Uatu kind of narrating you through each story. What I really liked about the first episode, and I wish they did this more, was you saw like in the first 3 minutes, here's the scene you already know, and then something happens and Uatu interrupts and says, that's it. That's the thing that's changed.
Right.
And now it's done everything. And I kind of wish they did that for all the episodes of, hey, here's the story you know, but hello, that's different. And just because of this little thing, here's the ripple effect that happens.
Okay, yeah. I can imagine.
I was looking for that because that's the Rod Sterling thing. That's the Twilight Zone thing, you know?
I can imagine there is a cut of What If that exists with that, or storyboards that exist with that at least. And then they're just like, everyone get the premise of the first one, right? Yeah. All right, cool. Let's not animate that.
What
changed? That made Ultron win.
That they all were like zombies, right? Like what? Like give me the backstory so that I can fill in. Okay, here's everything that I know happened in the MCU proper. But if this thing was like that's part of the reason why I didn't like the What If the Earth's Mightiest Heroes Fell episode was because the thing that changed the course of quote unquote MCU history didn't even happen on screen. The thing that caused that was because Hope Van Dyne was working for S.H.I.E.L.D. at one point, which I don't remember from the Ant-Man movie, but apparently she was.
Yeah.
And she died on a mission. And so Hank went insane over it, right? Like, you didn't tell me that. You didn't give me that, hey, remember everything you know up until Ant-Man. But now this changed. Hope Van Dyne ends up working for S.H.I.E.L.D. And that's what's different about this universe. And that's why this happened, right? Like,
I mean, they did it. Like they did that in the zombie one, but they did it retroactively because it starts off really just with Thanos is coming, and then it's Hope Van Dyne went to go rescue her mom, and her mom got zombieism, and
right, yeah, they did that in retro.
I think I do understand that would be nice to see. I'm sure they were just like, does everyone get the gist after Captain Carter? Yeah, all right, cool. We're not gonna spend more time on this.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, I wanted the Rod Sterling opening and ending each episode. I wanted the watcher to go in and be like, here's what it is, and now we're going to move on to another story. Like,
well, then, Brian, watch the Twilight Zone.
That's my problem. I will. It's October. I'm trying to get my scary stuff fixed. I'll probably watch some classic Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
But, that's kind of what I was hoping for, and I think that's why I was a little disappointed with what I got.
Yep.
I'm not saying it's a bad show by any means. I want to be very clear. Yes. The worst Marvel thing is better than 85% of the shit that's out there right now.
Correct.
So, I'm completely happy with the way this show wrapped up and the way the show presented itself. There were a couple episodes
Brian
on fire about.
Brian brought baggage. That was Brian's problem. Brian brought baggage and didn't live up to it.
I mean, I brought some expectations that I probably shouldn't have.
Right.
And I was disappointed by that. That's fine. We all do it, right?
Well, Brian,
it's fine.
Brian, what if we moved on to the next topic?
I'm sure if you want to.
2 more bits of Cape Talk. These are quick stories here, Brian. These are quick hits, right? We got them to be sure. We got a teaser for Peacemaker, which really just is like, how can we show John Cena just still being ridiculous? If you haven't watched The Suicide Squad, then spoilers, because this is happening. This show is coming out on HBO Max. I don't know if we have a release date for it, but it still just looks stupid silly.
Early 2022, January. It's at January.
January. It's stupid silly, and I'm okay with that. This is what I want to see John Cena in. You're right, January. Just doing weird,
I know I'm right. That's
wacky things with this character. So I will watch this. You?
Yeah, no, it looks great. I can't really classify this as a freaking teaser. It's legitimately a minute of footage from the show. I mean, it looks great. I mean, well, I don't want to say great. It looks enjoyable. It looks funny. And to your point, John Cena doing more of this ridiculous, I got a pet eagle thing.
Exactly.
Totally on board for that.
Yeah, it's just give it. They're just like, hey, do you like humor stuff? Because we have a funny thing coming. It happens to be DC related. There's an eagle in my backseat. What's his name? Eagly. That's a dumb name. You're a dumb character. Yes, I am. And then watch this show. All right. The next one This is proving to me a pattern now, because we got MODOK on Hulu, right? Which is Marvel saying, what if we did Robot Chicken but did something different too? Let's just have some fun, right? And now there's this show called A Hit Monkey, which apparently is a real Marvel property. I had not even...
Is a real Marvel property.
About a monkey assassin.
He is a simian assassin.
And it's starring Jason Sudeikis and who else? I saw names.
I saw names as well. I mean, I can look it up if you'd like, but prepare for typing.
I'm trying to find it.
It's Olivia Munn, Jason Sudeikis, George Takei are probably the biggest names on here.
So having three, again, this is a wacky, weird story. It also looks like very raunchy rated R thing. It's like Marvel's place to say, I can't put this on Disney Plus, right? Like we can't put this on Disney Plus. Let's throw our weird, wacky shit against the wall, see if it sticks, and we'll do it on Hulu.
This really sounds familiar. I feel like someone said that this is what Disney was going to do with Hulu a while back. It could have been a genius of film and television. But someone said that with their acquisition of Hulu, what Disney was probably going to do was going to take the more serious, not family-friendly stuff, throw it on Hulu. Who was that again?
You were right.
I want to say, it was me.
Ryan Thornton was right once.
Oh, and listen. We have not even begun to scratch the surface of the evidence that is quickly piling up that Disney is bringing back the Netflix characters. We're not going to talk about that yet until it's actually confirmed.
Correct, yes.
But when it is confirmed, you better...
I will have some song and dance ready for you, buddy.
You just drop to your knees and thank everyone that you can that we did not make a slap bet on it.
I'll do all
I have to say.
I'll do some TikTok trend on our TikTok account and say you were right. I don't know. All right, last bit.
You don't have to embarrass yourself.
As we know.
Now that you've said it, it's out there.
As we know, I love to go around the internet, find the weird, find the obscure, and then I ask for a tech perspective. And Brian, I'm so excited about this news that I found. It's not I found. This was all over the place, but I'm so excited for this news.
They announced it.
I didn't
YouTube.
find this I found this hidden treasure. Like this was out
in the same announcement of the Mario cast.
Yes,
Mario cast.
Nintendo has announced that Switch Online will be getting an expansion pack with N64 and Genesis games, and they released 2 controllers that you can have when you play these games. And if I don't have Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask at launch, I'm literally going to burn the building down.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
I'm looking at your really nice office. It's coming together. It's good. It's your new office.
Starting to get there.
You have an N64 there.
Correct.
With Ocarina of Time sitting on top of it.
Correct.
Why is this so special?
So you have it. 2 reasons. Number one, Brian, if I had to poop, I have to pause the game. And I can't deal with that anymore. If I get invited...
That's true. The Nintendo Switch is the toilet system.
Brian, I agree
with you.
I've also been vaccinated, right? And therefore, I'm my world is starting to open up. So if I get invited to a rooftop party... I want to be able to bring
Majora's Mask rooftop party.
I want to bring Ocarina of Time with me, right? And more importantly, I want my kids to play the original Pokemon Snap. I want them to play Banjo-Kazooie because when I pull out this console, it doesn't mean anything to them. But when it's on the Switch, they've played Mario.
They won't play it on that?
They've played the classic games on the Switch. They find that to be so cool. They don't know it's an old game.
I have a feeling you're parenting wrong then.
I listen, I can only do what I can do. So here are the list of games that will be coming on this. They have confirmed this isn't my wishful thinking. Super Mario 64.
I'm excited by this because the only game I don't have already is Majora's Mask.
Which
saying. I know you have it. I see it.
I've got it there. Right there.
You got the gold cartridge too. Look at you. I have Ocarina. I have Mario 64. I have Mario Kart 64. I have Star Fox 64. I have GoldenEye. I have Banjo-Kazooie. The only game that I was like, oh, remember that on the N64 was Majora's Mask. I should just go spend $50 on Majora's Mask. Anyway,
it's not that hard. So Mario 64, Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, Mario Kart 64, Star Fox 64, Sin and Punishment. Never even heard of it. Very excited to see what the hell that's about. Dr. Mario 64, Mario Tennis 64, Winback. Never heard of it. Yoshi's Story. And then things coming in the future are Banjo-Kazooie and Pokemon Snap. And if you haven't played the new Pokemon Snap, you're missing out.
I do.
Legend of Zelda Majora's Mask, Kirby 64, Mario Golf, Paper Mario, and F-Zero X. And then for Sega, Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
Yeah, the Sega Genesis games.
I'm really excited to see Sonic come to the Nintendo Switch. Streets of Rage 2, Echo the Dolphin, Castlevania Bloodlines, Contra, right? Like, there's some good stuff that's coming down the road. And the fact that you can play these with the original controllers to me is also, like, really, really exciting. So, very excited that
you realize you're going to spend $60 on those controllers, right?
And here's the other part too, Brian. I don't know the price for the expansion pack. How much is this expansion pack going to cost me monthly?
That's true.
What's that going to ring me up?
I don't know.
I don't care. Now, if I could buy these games instead of having it tied to a subscription and a cloud server, if I could just buy them and have them on the Switch and they would just re-release them, that would make me even happier. I would pay both the monthly subscription and the $60 to plunk down to have a Nintendo Switch version of Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask on the same fucking cartridge. Like, I would do that. I did that for the GameCube. I would do that again for the Nintendo Switch. So news on this will be coming up. I obviously am overreacting to how awesome
obviously.
This will be.
Did you also hear about the new Smash character that they unveiled?
I did, and I'll tell you what. I have very strong. I don't give a shit about that. I never played.
You don't give? Here's the thing. I love Super Smash Brothers, but no one will play with me because I always win. So I haven't been able to play any of these DLC characters, and now that Sora is one of them, I'm really excited.
Yeah, I never played Kingdom Hearts, so like I know people were losing their
never played Kingdom Hearts?
minds. Kingdom Hearts was a PlayStation game, and I never had a PlayStation.
Oh God, you suck. First off, play Kingdom Hearts. You know what? Your kids would enjoy Kingdom Hearts. I'm telling you right now.
Is it turn-based JRPG?
No.
Okay.
No, it's not. I'll tell you about the combat style offline, but yeah, it is. I mean, you could probably get away with just kind of button mashing the attack button if you want to, but like dude, you get to go to Disney places. I mean, your kids would probably enjoy just the mere fact of you being Aladdin gets to be like with me in my party. Okay, that was the appeal of Kingdom Hearts, and like, the story is super convoluted and very complicated, but still pretty good. And it took 20 years for me to get 3 games. Proper games, but then I also got 6 DS games, and I've played them all. They're great. So yeah, my long story short, this excites me, and someone play Super Smash Bros. With me.
All right, listeners. Listen, we absolutely love you. We miss you. I was so glad to sit down with Brian and talk about these stuff today, but I want to hear from you. What are you excited about? You know, you can find us on social media by searching That Kind of Nerd podcast on Instagram. Thank you so much for making us your walk around your neighborhood, your drive to work, whatever it is we are in your life right now. And we will talk to you next time.
Well, welcome to the club because you are that kind of nerd.
Me too. Well, Hitmonkey is just like, hey, Hulu's the spot where Disney gets to do fucking crazy shit. They do Morag, and then they're doing this. They're just...
You mean MODOK?
MODOK, sorry. They're doing MODOK. I don't know.
Where did you get Morag from?
I don't know. They're doing MODOK,
Explain
which is
to me what the acronym for Morag is.
What if damn it, this is Steiner.
Of course it is.
All right, and then I do want to talk about this Nintendo Switch thing at the end.
Morag, mentally organized, recluse, always guffawing. Type.
Who finds it first?
Hang on. Loading. Type. Loading. Click.
Olivia Munn.
Loading.
All right, so I've got it. Shut your face. I've got it.